Welcome back from the break. You're still watching NTV Sport Nights. Well, today in the afternoon, I believe it was, President Yoweri Museveni received Uganda's Afcon 2027 joint bid with Kenya and Tanzania, dubbed EAC Pamoja. Is it a pie in the sky? Are we building castles in the air? Are we biting off more than we can chew? The first time I heard about this a few weeks ago, it was laughable, but it's actually serious. So now, moving on to the panel here. Yes, we like to dream, but is this realistic? Even in my wildest dreams, or am I being a pessimist?
Typical Ugandan, we all pessimists at some stage. But one thing we need to acknowledge that we've actually made progress, because in the past we've actually talked about it, but we never reached this stage. We've eventually made progress where we reach a stage where we can actually even convince the president to acknowledge and sign a few documents before they are submitted to CAF, because the deadline is tomorrow. So Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, you want to believe it is far-fetched, but at the same time you also want to believe that it's actually achievable. Andrew was just sharing earlier how Kenya in the past, on 2 occasions, they have tried to host this competition, the Afcon in 1996 and the CHAN in 2018, and on both occasions they failed. But now they are joining forces with the original East African countries, that's Uganda and Tanzania, and you believe if we are serious about it, maybe we can pull it off. When you look at the kind of energy and passion William Ruto, the head of state in Kenya, speaks with, you'd want to see the same from Uganda and the same from Tanzania, but we've not been able to see that. Yesterday, when the former President Moses Magogo was handing over the bid to NCS
Friday.
Well, it was Friday.
Yeah.
In his submission, he said that they agreed as FA presidents that the sports ministers in those different countries are going to take the lead on this. Actually, Peter Ogwang and company, I think, should be in Cairo by tomorrow morning to physically hand over the bid. So what happens thereafter will determine. Of course, inspections are starting this coming month, 1st June until I think 15th July. Then the announcement is going to be made on the 21st of August. We are up against countries like Algeria, who are also beating for the 2025 Afcon, countries like Egypt, who have everything set, just plug and play, and probably Botswana. So we just need to wait and see what will happen.
But you said, you know, Kenya has failed twice, and, you know, they have come to their, you know, loyal neighbor, Uganda. But are we a strong partner? Really?
I have this strong feeling that we might fail the other two. Though shockingly, the Kenyans also think that they might fail Uganda and Tanzania. So it is that kind of a thing. But when you listen to Ruto speak, Ismail says he's a very good orator, so we shouldn't really pay a lot of attention to what he's saying. But when you listen to Ruto speak, you see a man who is determined to do whatever it takes that this eventually comes off. If the head of state comes out and speaks with the kind of passion that he was speaking with, you are sure that probably he's willing to do whatever it takes to make sure that they pull off this. The reason I'm saying we needed to hear the same kind of energy from our president, Yoweri Museveni, and probably Her Excellency from Tanzania. But we are yet to see that. And for me, until we get to see that, I feel it might not we might not be able to pull it off as East Africa.
You said you wanted to hear from the president. Andrew wanted to read a tweet earlier.
Actually, the speech.
The speech?
Andrew has the president's speech.
Ah, okay. But he has tweeted about it this evening. He tweeted about it, and he was talking about how important sports is, and it's good for health, entertainment, and more so business. Therefore, East Africa will come together and the goodwill of our community. Okay, Danielle, what are your thoughts?
I feel we should take it slow, first of all, because, well, before it materialized, for them to go ahead and hand over the bid to the National Council of Sports, we thought it was some kind of a joke. But this is the reality, and I feel if we are into it, we could end up, you never know, hosting the games, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether you have the stadia, it doesn't matter what you have, but you can go ahead and bid and start, because we are looking at countries countries like Guinea-Conakry, which was supposed to host the 2025 tournament. They failed, and of course it was taken off them by CAF. But you notice that our own problem here, Uganda, has been the stadia, but we have Nambole. We can work hard, and maybe if we are not slow in the process, and get another stadia, because each country requires two.
Daniela, sorry to cut you short. One thing that we probably also need to understand and acknowledge, when things get to this level, it is no longer about FUFA, it is no longer about the FA in Kenya, it is no longer about the FA in Tanzania. It is at the level of government. What is happening at the moment is that the federation is trying to force this onto government, especially for me, the Ugandan government. Now, the federation needs to take another step by convincing government that actually this is reality. Now, by convincing government, now you're interested in government in actually setting up facilities. I read the story again in the Daily Monitor that East Africa is planning to present 9 stadiums in total. That means Kenya will bring 3, Tanzania will bring 3, and Uganda will bring 3. At the moment, we have one that we hope will be ready by then.
By
if we are to produce 3, that means we need to construct 2 new ones. Now, it goes back to what I said. It's no longer about the federation, it is about government. Is government ready, or is government interested in building 3 more international stadiums that are at the level of Nambole? Kenya might be able to do so, Tanzania might be able to do so. Is the Ugandan government ready to do that? Because if we can't have those, then that means we won't be able to actually convince CAF that we are ready to have this competition hosted. Some of the details that we are told about, you must actually confirm the stadiums, whether you have them or you're going to construct them. Where are you going to construct them, which cities, and things like that. The bid has been kept so close to their chest that you don't know any bit of detail in it. Probably Andrew has seen a bit of it, but I've tried my level best, using my sources in Kenya, using my sources in Tanzania, even a few of my sources here in Uganda, and it has not been easy. All of us here are speculating what exactly is in there, and probably we just need to wait and look at it and see exactly what East Africa, especially the governments, for me, I want to see what kind of commitment is the Ugandan government giving, because by FUFA or Peter Ogwang and company handing that bid to CAF, there is a bit of commitment from government telling CAF what they are willing to put in place for East Africa, or even Uganda in particular, to pull this one off.
Okay, now to Andrew, I know you're dying to say something, and we have been seeing pictures of Nambole there and the grass, and I remember that was one of the issues that you wanted to actually do a story on Nambole, but you were not allowed, I think, at that time, because you were asking questions about grass and what your investigative eye, you wanted to see
actually
things.
The Minister of Sports
said no.
Avoided me.
He avoided you. Okay, Andrew, with all your research you have done, do you think Uganda has the financial muscle to pull this off? Remember last week we were talking about rugby and how France has actually pulled out from hosting an international, the Rugby Cup that they were supposed to have in France, I think 2025 or something. How do you see Uganda, the way we are? Maybe miracles happen.
Okay.
Do we have that financial muscle?
Thank you, Mebo. I'll start like Clive. We've made a step.
Oh.
And FUFA have done their job, coordinating the federations in Tanzania and Kenya. They've done their job. It's now in the hands of government. But let's take a look at the competition we have. Algeria, who want this, have 5 CAF certified international stadiums in 4 cities. Botswana, our good friends, they have 0 stadiums.
We are the same level.
Egypt have 6 CAF certified stadiums in 3 cities. Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania in the joint bid have 1 certified stadium in Tanzania, the national stadium. That's one. Cameroon, last year, the previous Afcon, had 6 stadiums, 1 country. So they constructed 3, renovated 3, when you consider all the investments in the stadium, in the roads, in the hospitals and all, they spent $885 million. That's 3.2 trillion Uganda shillings. Now, you could argue, since you guys are three, if that's what you need, you can actually, divide.
Yeah.
Now, about the 3 stadiums for each country, that's a story that just East Africa is cropping up. But I think, at least according to Moses Magogo, who is on the CAF executive, that also decides who hosts, they need 6.
6, yeah.
6.
2.
Meaning at least
6 venues.
So when you look at Uganda, you're hoping Nambole it gets done finally, and then construct another one. People have been talking about Chitende, St. Mary's. We don't know because we don't know what's in the bid, but I don't think the artificial turf is an attraction.
Yeah, it has to be natural grass.
Then for Nachivubo, it has all the red flags you need in the world. Not host.
Oh my God.
The chaos around it,
in the middle of the
inaccessibility, all the red flags that CAF talk about. So those 2 are out. So my sources tell me they are looking at investing in the up-country stadiums. Either could be Kachieka in Imbarara, could be Wihinga in Fort Poto, or Akibua in Lira. But one of the CAF requirements is the venue must be near an airport.
True.
Okay.
It must be near a high level 5 or something hospital, a 5-star hotel.
Not only one, by the way.
Not
but
only
at
one.
least for a start.
And 3 training grounds that meet also CAF standards. So for Uganda, you're looking at finishing Nambole, constructing another new stadium, and having 3 training grounds for each, and sort all the other things, hospital, invest in hotels to bring them up to speed.
And also good transport infrastructure.
All that.
Yeah.
Now, just like Kenya have a precedent that doesn't encourage their people. If I'm speaking to friends and they're like, how are we going to host this? We are looking at them as a big economy, but they're like, you guys, okay, you tell us how are we going to do this? They've previously won the bid twice. Now, Ugandans might think winning a bid means we are going to host. No. Winning a bid means, okay, we have agreed you're going to host, now prove to us you can host.
You have this
So you have this time for 3 years to prove that you can actually host. Now, Kenya, on both occasions, the rights were withdrawn because the venues were not ready and because of financial constraints. Guinea, that was supposed to host 2025,
Withdrew.
they're withdrawing. Now, here is where a question comes back to CAF. Should you be awarding the bid to promises and guarantees, or to those that have proven with, they've proven that they can actually host by giving you evidence that we can host? Because if people keep pulling out, especially if it's not Ebola or it's not, they're just pulling out because they've not come through with their promises, then that's another issue altogether. Now, today, the president received the bid. The deputy speaker.
There are pictures there.
Yes,
Yeah.
at that State House Center. Deputy Speaker Thomas Tayebwa, the Minister of State for Sports, Moses Magogo, NCS. That's the delegation that went. Of course, the committee, the bid committee. They presented it to the president and the First Lady, Janet. Now, if Magogo and his team were waiting for a speech from the president to say we got this, we are going to sort this, I'm fully behind you, let's go for it. Perhaps they might have left disappointed. I'm going to read a bit of the speech from the president at that event. The president said, as I have always said, sports is good for health, to burn calories and not be unhealthy. While in sports you learn this is it's also good for entertainment for yourself, who is participating, and the spectators. This is better than other activities like consuming alcohol.
What?
While in sports you learn to coordinate your body better, just like the parade in the army, and to coordinate the group. By the way, all this is true.
What?
You develop the spirit of determination. You push yourself even when you are tired. You learn not to give in, to take the easy way. You have to stop having inyoko. I was told this means jealousy. I don't know if that's true. By learning that you can lose and later win. Now, when it comes to addressing the bid now, he's talking about the bid now. When it came to the bid, and this is a line I picked from the story for the Daily Monitor tomorrow. When it came to the bid, the president appreciated the business side of it, but if he exhibited enthusiasm about it, it did not show in his message. Now this is the message. Therefore, for East Africa to come together to invite the African Cup to come here is very good. It will promote our countries. Tourism will also increase. However, we must take care not to forget the real way of becoming stable, which is wealth creation. Yes, sports brings money from some professional players, but out of 100, how many will be professional and make money? Therefore, the children should play, but also get time to create wealth in order to have money even after their sports. That's his take on the bid.
Wow.
So the commitment coming through publicly from the president, you're like, you know what, come Rain or Shane, we're up for this, didn't come through exactly here. So assessing whether we are ready, I mean, we've already talked about that, and the mixed, the CAF requirements as well, they're quite stringent. But let me tell you the most unique thing about Uganda's bid, East African bid, which is Pamoja together, Afcon 2027, is it has 3 countries. It brings together 3 different nations, which is attractive for even people want to come and cover the game in terms of visiting the different countries. It also taps into the emotions of the people giving awarding the bid. So if you have to look again at Uganda, East Africa and the rest, that's the only unique thing we have about it. After
I
that,
wanted to ask some sort of affirmative action.
After
because
that, we are done.
It seems
Listening to what you have written.
Now, you asked me a question of can we pull it off? If we are serious, we can pull it off. Unfortunately, we have not proven our seriousness. 13 years on since the promise of the high altitude intermediate, when Moses Kipsiro won in 2010 at the Commonwealth Games in Delhi. 13 years on, we are still waiting for the completion. Nambole refurbishment, first it was 97 billion, then we are told another phase and all. Even the refurbishment, we are going now in 2 years.
That's fair.
In 2 years. Now we need 3 years to build a full, new stadium. We are not guests in this country. We've seen things, but somehow they just manifest the way we expect them. Anything beyond that will be a pleasant surprise for the country.
Listening to what you have read there from the president, it's going to take a lot of work for Honorable Engineer Magogo and the parties and FUFA and what have you to convince the president that this is actually going to work. You are looking at a situation that has reflected on Ugandan sport, that government is not always involved and not ready to take it up. So I don't know where that's going to come from.
And for me, from Andrew's submission, I don't know why, but I'm very, very, very confident that we are going to win that bid. But I cannot say the same that we will be hosting the Africa Cup of Nations. We are going to win the bid, and like Andrew said, you will win the bid, and then CAF will say, prove to us that you can host this tournament. And for me, that is where we are going to bottle it, unfortunately.
And they'll take the bid somewhere else.
Of course, like you say, I mean, Cameroon had close to 8 years to host that 2029
They first
Africa
failed,
Cup.
then they extended.
I mean, the moment came and they were supposed to host the competition, and they failed to host the competition. And that is how now countries like Egypt, countries like Algeria actually have an upper hand. Because Egypt won the bid to host 2019 with 6 months to go. And they actually hosted a very, very successful tournament. 2 years later, the tournament still went back to Cameroon, and much as then Cameroon hosted it, they were still weren't ready. And now these are countries that we look at and they take sport very serious. They are football houses. Paul Biya, the president, invested a lot of money and all that. Now we come back to a country where we still treat sport as a joke. We still, the people that are forcing this on the president actually are still laboring to convince him that actually sport is a lucrative business that everyone can earn.
But I like the president. He remains
have.
true to himself when he's speaking this. Like, That's
Yeah,
how
because
he looks at it.
and for me that because
I don't think he has seen people get
and
money
you
out
also
of this.
talked about Friday, because before Magoga and company went to National Council of Sports, they also went to Parliament.
They also, yeah,
and they presented the same documents to the Speaker of Parliament. And in her submission, she actually revealed, because there has been reports or rumors that the sports budget was going to be cut by 63%. And in her submission, she actually revealed that the sports budget had been maintained at 47 billion. But now the big question is, it has been maintained at 47 billion. How much of that is coming in to facilitate what Uganda and the other East African countries are trying to put together? Are we going to have a separate budget altogether to facilitate this, to make sure that we pull it off? So that there are so many questions that need to be answered, and for me, I feel it is going to take a lot of convincing to the president for him to actually come to the party and join all the other heads of state to make sure that we pull this one off.
And maybe just to put the record straight to the Ugandans, we all want toast,
But
even us.
we are tired of traveling to other countries.
We want toast because we also get to work. But we are saying it the way it is, and we are challenging you to prove us wrong, the authorities in government. We are challenging you to prove us wrong, and we will be happy to be wrong.